Okay, once again, this is Joe Gilloway with Linglestown Gazette Sports. We are live at Underdog Sports Bar and Grill, 3100 Paxton Street in Harrisburg. And who I have with me up here now, again, we're 2018 Harrisburg Cougars football players. We have Andre White Jr., Brian Yates, Jai Burney, Tony Patterson, and Deontay Nichols. And I'm going to start to my immediate left here with Andre White Jr. He's a senior middle linebacker and tight end. And I guess I'll mention first, I first met Andre at, I guess it was the Jordan Hill Foundation Turkey Drive, right?
Right.
And we were all there just to help. You know, there's people less fortunate that were coming in and they were providing entire meals. And Andre was there helping them pack the food up in their cars and get everything organized. And I was impressed, you know, because a lot of times somebody in your situation at your age, especially with a big game on the line, you just might want to be resting or doing whatever, sitting around, and you were out there helping others. Is it important to you to be able to be available like that to other people in your community?
I feel like that's very important. You know, my mom always told me, you do good things come back to you. You know, it's always good to help out others and, you know, just be another helpful figure in this world.
And I think I met your mother. I think I interviewed her, didn't I? Wasn't she at the one tailgate? Yeah, I was at two. I may have met a handful of you guys folks, but I ended up interviewing her, and I let her know, you know, how impressed I was with you. Now, you're all Mid-Penn Commonwealth, of course, all state, of course, and you're heading off to play football in the Southeast Conference, SEC. And I want you to not an entire play-by-play, but if there's any younger student athletes watching, what was the process like for you? And do you have any advice? Maybe looking back, you might have done something a little differently, or if not, that's fine. But tell us about the process.
One thing that I wanted to do was separate myself, you know, even though with the talents that I have and the God-given ability that I was to play football, what comes with that, you have to apply hard work always. You know, if you don't have hard work, you know, you won't be successful. So to separate yourself, you need to, you know, be the hardest worker out there.
Right. And Andre had 22 tackles in the district championship game against Central Dauphin. All right. And that's a pretty tough team over there, right? They got some beef over there, right? You were all over the field, and that was one of the more impressive defensive performances I've seen. I'm an old man. You know what I mean? I've been watching football for a long, long time. So, Andre, we thank you, and we wish you best of luck next year when you're playing college football at Texas A&M. Andre White Jr., folks. Next up, we got Brian Yates, senior defensive end, tight end. Primarily, what's your position primarily?
DN. I play outside linebacker too, though.
Oh, you do? And you're the starting tight end?
No.
All right, I just made it. So we're going to talk about you being a defensive end and an outside linebacker. Brian, everyone has a mentor, okay, or they should if they want to get through life successfully. Do you have any teammates, current teammates, or maybe past teammates that you look up to as a mentor?
I mean, on this team, yeah, I look up to Dre, Jai, like they got a good drive and like they're always focused. So I figure if I look at them, then they'll help me focus too.
Okay, and I don't know if I mentioned or not, you were all Mid-Penn Commonwealth as well. And being a senior, do you have any plans of playing football in the future or maybe just going to college? What are you planning on doing now?
I'm waiting to take my SAT and stuff, so more coaches and more schools will come my way. So after I take that, then I'll be able to pick a school.
Right. You get a better idea where you might fit in once your SAT results come back. Okay, well, thank you very much. Brian Yates, everybody. Jai Burney. All right, senior outside linebacker. This linebacking core, by the way, it's an all-star core. You know, you could just maybe other than Burkhardt, I got to give it up to Burkhardt, but you could pretty much exclude anybody else in the whole league and just use the Cougars as an all-star team. All Mid-Penn Commonwealth. I don't know how to put it. I mean, this man's going to Texas A&M, but what I saw out of you was just as good as what I saw out of him, and that's all due respect. I mean, the state championship game was like nothing I've ever seen. You had a pick six in the first quarter, recovered 3 fumbles, and had so many tackles on defense and on special teams. did you realize what kind of game you were having while it was going on?
I mean, coming like the week before the state championship game, I was working hard, and we were working like we were trying to see what they were actually running, and it was actually what they ran in the game. So I just went whatever we went through during practice. So.
And they say big players step up big in big games or big times. And I mean, I didn't see every one of your games, but you might have played better against St. Joe's Prep than you did against Altoona. I mean, really, that was just like I said about Andre in the district championship game. Did you just look at those guys over there as just another team, St. Joe's Prep?
I take everybody the same. Everybody just another team. Doesn't matter. We all put the pads on, put the helmets on, strap up the cleats. So.
Right. And I guess my last question is there anything you like in life to do better than hit somebody on a football field?
Nah, the interception, be aggressive. Yeah, that's me. That's it.
Yeah, you're a phenomenal linebacker. You were John and I, my partner over there. You were one of our favorite players to go watch play all year long. So, last thing, are you planning on doing anything from here on out?
Yeah, I plan on going to college, playing college football. If that doesn't work out, I'll major in engineering, mechanical engineering. So.
Wonderful, Jai Burney. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Tony Patterson, senior offensive tackle and defensive tackle, right? Now, we were sort of expecting somebody a little more beefed up, man, for like an offensive tackle. So I guess what that tells me is your technique's phenomenal because you don't really have to be big. Yeah, I will. You don't really have to be big to play line if you have great technique. You were all Mid-Penn Commonwealth as well. What was the feeling like? And let me just give a little introduction to this question. This team lost. They call it week 0, but it's the first round of the season or first game of the season. 37-6 to Coatesville, and I was there. I was on the sideline, and again, you guys held your head up high, and when you walked off the field, you knew the season wasn't over. And I've even had friends of mine that, that following week said to me, man, Joe, you were at the game. What was going on with Harrisburg, man? I don't understand. And you know what I said to him? I said, I think they're going to be pretty good. I saw something, even in a 31-point loss, that you guys had something, that you weren't going to let that keep you down. What was the feeling personally and of the team after that loss, moving into practice that following Monday?
Well, we had that mentality to do better, keep working. When we lost, we just went to practice and went going.
So you knew that the season was far from over, being just 0-1, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're a senior also. What are your plans moving forward?
Well, go to college, play football.
Go to college and play football. In that order, right? Student, athlete. That's what we like to hear. Tony Patterson, thanks very much. And up next, Deontay Nichols, senior defensive end. All Mid-Penn Commonwealth, of course. They're all Mid-Penn Commonwealth, all state. What being named all state, and you saw the other players on that list, the St. Joe's Preps, the Coatesvilles. What does that mean to you to be recognized amongst that group of players?
It meant a lot for just to me being in the All-State. It just meant a lot because it's my first year playing that position. It was my first year playing varsity football and starting the whole year, so it just meant a lot to me.
Well, and I hope you know, the importance of something like that. Sometimes when you're the one that's in it and you're younger like you are, you say, all right, I'll stay. That's cool. That's a big deal, and I hope you know that. What is it about this team, Deontay, that you'll remember most?
Our bond. One thing I would say, we never really put each other down. We always had a brother-type bond. It was always playful. It was always great. Practice was intense. We always just took it one step at a time, and we just great. We was brothers.
Right. And when Coach Cal came up here, I did sort of mention in my introduction that you can see and feel the love on your team. And there's no shame in saying love, because it's love. I can see the way you guys back each other up, the way the coaches back you up, the way you back your coaches up. It's just something that sometimes in life you look back and say, man, that was as good as it got as far as the camaraderie, right?
Yes, sir.
So after the St. Joe's prep game, you got on the bus. I was told that pretty quickly, got off the field and got on the bus. Were you able to hold your head up high on the way back to the high school?
Yeah, we was, because in the beginning of the season, nobody really thought we was going to make it there. We had nobody in our corner, but we stuck with each other, we bonded, and we just knew we knew what our talents was. We knew where we can go. So we held our head up high. We wanted the state championship, but we came there. We fell short, but we was good.
You didn't fall that short, let me tell you. Guys were down a touchdown after the third quarter. That was, again, I mentioned it earlier, that was one heck of a team over there. And just somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. Where to next for Deontay Nichols?
College football, student athlete first. Take a SAT again, like Brian said, and we're going to see where that goes. But college football.
Okay, well, we wish you well. We got everybody, right? Gentlemen, thank you very much. Pleasure. Well, we're going to bring everybody back up because our audio was bad for the first round. Thanks, fellas. Did you guys get something to eat? Yeah, thank you. No problem at all. Okay. So once again, that was Tony Patterson, Deontay Nichols, Jai Burney, Brian Yates, and Andre White Jr. And I'm Joe Gilloway with Linglestown Gazette Sports. We are live at Underdog Sports Bar and Grill for our Meet the 2018 Harrisburg Cougars football team. We had Coach Cal Everett up here first, then the 5 young men that I just mentioned. Today's coverage is sponsored by PAYOR Apparel and Larry Bragg. He provided T-shirts for all the players. Larry's good to us. He always stands behind us and helps us out with some of his gear. He can be reached at wearpayor.com. So I think we're going to bring up our next group of players here. I wanted to mention while the other players are on their way up, there's 2 wrestlers, football players, but they wrestle as well. Junior wide receiver D-back Dante Kent and senior center defensive tackle Jeff Chisholm Wilkerson. They weren't able to make it today. They have a match. They were both first team all Mid-Penn Commonwealth on offense and defense, and that's pretty sick to make it on both sides of the ball. And Dante Kent was also all-state. So, fellas, we'll make sure you guys get a T-shirt from PAYOR Apparel, and hopefully we'll be able to get together with you sometime again. So we're waiting here on Jameer Plant, Saquon Barton, Rynell Gant, Elijah Scott, and Kane Everson. All right. We got 2 more coming. Did you guys eat? Yeah. Did you have enough to eat? Okay. All right. Who'd we add here? Okay. How you doing, young man? You too. Thank you. Okay. You know what? Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's start with Jameer Plant. He's a junior running back. I think there's only 3 juniors in this whole group of players here today. First team all Mid-Penn Commonwealth. You had, let me tell you this, your biggest games in the biggest games. I thought so. To name a few, 251 all-purpose yards from scrimmage against State College, 143 rushing yards against Wilson in the first round of the District 3 tournament, 129 all-purpose yards from scrimmage against Central Dauphin in the District 3 championship game, and 140 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in the state semifinal game against Coatesville. What is it about the big games that you seem to play better?
I feel as though that I start getting more comfortable with the way my offensive line was blocking, and my quarterback was opening up the holes for me by what he does great with the ball.
Nobody has to teach you how to answer questions because you went right to your offensive line and your quarterback. And really, without one another on the football field, you're not going to be rushing for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a great answer. I was at the state championship game, and you got a little dinged up in the first half, and I could tell you were in a lot of pain. I mean, I'm not going to ask you what kind of injury or to what extent, but how frustrating was it when you knew your team was in the game and you had to sit on the bench there for a while before you went back in?
I felt as though I let my teammates down, but then again, I knew, like, that's what comes with playing football, and I knew, like, only thing I knew I could do was get back in the game and keep playing my heart out.
Well, let me tell you, you did not leave your teammates down. Just being able to get back onto the field, because I'm sure you didn't go from sitting on the sidelines to 100% in a half hour, right?
Right.
Yeah, so Jameer Plant, thank you very much. And you're a junior, so I'm not going to ask you where you're heading next because you're heading back onto the football field next year. And everything going okay in the classroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. That's Jameer Plant, everyone. Now we're going to go to Saquon Barton, another junior defensive tackle. And I liked your answer to the first time when I asked you about after the state championship game was over, you sort of assessed the situation. You knew how hard you worked to get there, and you just fell a little short, and it really wasn't that short. What was your mood personally, and sort of the feeling about, you know, having to walk away with that silver medal rather than gold?
Well, I think mine was that basically we worked for that for, a year, since November 28th, and everybody played their heart out, so you can't ask for anything more than that. We played our heart out. We were a team. We made it to the last week, and then everything was good with us. You know?
And I totally agree. And the last thing I'm going to ask you is, in terms of being just a junior, you're going to lose a lot of senior teammates this year. So it's going to be your job and your responsibility to step up and become that mentor and that guy that there's a lot of younger people watching you, whether you know it or not. Are you ready for that role?
Personally, I think I am. These guys set a really good model for us of how to deal with the younger guys, how to encourage everybody, and how to play the game. So I think I'll be pretty good if I just take on what they did and make it a little bit better. Thank
you. That's Saquon Barton. Thank you, Saquon. All right, and let's move next to Rynell Gant. Slot back safety. What is it about playing slot back? For people that don't know what a slot back is, you're sort of half running back or half tailback and half wide receiver. And is that a position that you like to play?
Yeah, somewhat, but I like to play defense a lot more. But offense, I like to score. So, yeah.
You can't really hit as much when you're running the ball, right?
Right, yeah.
I bet if Jai Burney had the ball in his hand, he'd be able to hit hard.
Yeah, if Jai had the ball, yeah. We've been trying to get him the ball, but he doesn't like to play offense.
He would probably punish the defender if he was running the ball up the middle. Now, so you prefer safety. Moving into next season, do you anticipate that you're probably going to have the same roles as you had this year?
Yeah, I think when I go to college for my first year, I think I'll start DB. So I'll just keep working at defensive back instead of offense.
Okay. So what are your plans after graduation?
I'm going to go to college and play football and then get my degree in criminal justice.
Awesome. And if you folks haven't noticed, every time I ask them where they're heading next, they talk about going to college to play football, not going to play football and also study. So, and I'm sure that Coach Cal instills that into you guys to a great degree, right? Okay, that's Rynell Gant. Thank you, sir. And senior outside linebacker Elijah Scott. All Mid-Penn Commonwealth. You guys played like champions all year long, win or lose. I mentioned earlier, you know, and I mentioned that the 2 losses came at the very beginning and the very end. In between, there was a lot of wins, a lot of points scored, a lot of teams held to not scoring points on you guys. How much did the leadership of Coach Cal help you, keep yourself grounded when you're winning by 50 keep yourself grounded when you lose a big game?
He told us from the start, we're going to face a lot of adversity this year, being a team from in the city. So we just took it upon ourselves to stay humble, not get too big-headed when we were winning big, and not get down on ourselves when we was losing like we did in the beginning of the season. But it ultimately came down to our senior leaders and us bringing the team back down, not so much as Coach Cal, more the teammates.
Thank you. And I think it's important to mention, again, I've been to 8 of their 15 games this year, and you couldn't tell if you guys had just won by 20 or lost by 20 when you walked off the field. And that's a credit to your maturity. I mean, most people, or maybe not most, but are throwing helmets around or maybe rubbing it in on the other team when they win. And I've always heard that a poor loser is also a poor winner. And I didn't see any of that out of any of you guys. So, Elijah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to move on to Jameer. Did we do Jameer yet? Yeah, we did Jameer. Kane Everson. You're a senior quarterback, defensive back, Mid-Penn Commonwealth Division Offensive Player of the Year and All-State. First saw you play as a junior at Central Dauphin East. You just turned the whole game around against Central Dauphin in the fourth quarter. Looked like a sure win for the Rams, and you weren't having any of that, were you?
They interviewed me the week before we played them at one of our practices and asked me if I thought we were going to win. And I said yeah, so I felt like I kind of we had to win or else they was going to come at me for doing something like that.
So things were on the line there getting late in the game, right, if you wanted to be a man of your word. How did, for the most part of the season, you played both ways. You played quarterback, and you're a very active quarterback. You did a lot of running, a lot of moving around the pocket. How did that allow you to still have the energy to play defense, too?
It gets tiring at times, especially if I scramble a lot during a certain drive on defense. But I got injured like halfway through the season, so I didn't really have that problem because I didn't play defense that much towards the end of the season.
And let me just talk briefly about the injury. It was against Chambersburg, and then your backup quarterback, John McNeil, was out too, right? Who played quarterback the rest of the game? I knew that. I knew that. Any quarterbacking in the future for you?
Yeah, I think I might go to the pros for NFL.
Okay, yeah. Well, we saw it. We saw a little glimpse of that night against Chambersburg.
I think if they would have had Andre at linebacker, I would have destroyed them all game.
There's one confident quarterback right there. Okay. And on the lighter side, Kane, you're also a punter. Kane is a sort of a rugby-style punter. He punts the ball sort of sideways a little bit and just looks for pockets on the field and to sort of pin the other team back. But it works. I mean, I saw you punt so many times this year. Very rarely did it not work out the way you guys were hoping to. How do you enjoy punting?
It's fun. Punting's fun to me. I wish I would have kept a couple more of the fakes on fourth down and stuff, but it's cool.
So people are probably wondering what kind of interviewer is Joe asking an all-state quarterback about his punting. But I was very impressed with it. It was a good time watching that. And last thing, you're heading off to William & Mary. I think about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago you officially signed. What was it about William & Mary that made you decide to extend your football career and your academic career at that school?
Coach Cal sent my highlight tape to one of the coaches that they transferred off from Howard to William & Mary just recently, and they hit me up on Twitter, offered me, and invited me to the school for an official visit. And while I was there, I just liked everything else. I just liked everything about it more than I did at Army. Like, I was more comfortable there, and it wasn't so long, like as long term, like it wasn't as long. So that's where I felt like I would be most successful at.
Thank you. And that's senior quarterback, defensive back, Kane Everson once again. And, yeah, things are probably altogether different at William & Mary as they would be at West Point, right? So we got everybody here. We didn't leave anybody out. Thanks for coming back up again. We really appreciate it. So once again, that's Kane Everson, Jameer Plant, Elijah Scott, Rynell Gant, and Saquon Barton, 5 more of the champion Harrisburg Cougars 2018 football team. Thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. If you guys need anything, just let us know, okay? Yep. All right. So once again, I think we've gotten everybody in front of us, and what a blast it was to meet these guys. I'm Joe Gilloway with Linglestown Gazette Sports once again, and we are live at Underdog Sports Bar and Grill, 3100 Paxton Street in Harrisburg. This was our Meet the 2018 Harrisburg Cougars show. What an incredible bunch of young men, and they really embraced being here today. I had fun with them. It seemed like they enjoyed themselves as well. Just I want to mention one more time, there were 2 players that were invited to be here that could not make it. They both wrestle for Harrisburg. Junior wide receiver and defensive back Dante Kent, and senior center defensive tackle Jeff Chisholm Wilkerson. Both of those players were first team all Mid-Penn Commonwealth on offense and defense, and that's ridiculous if you can go to that level on both sides of the ball. Dante Kent was all-state as well as either a wide receiver or athlete. Sometimes they designate a player as an athlete when they can just do so much. So I think we're going to wrap things up here, and I think Danya's hungry, right? Smile, Danya. Our student intern, Danya Moore, is with us again. She does a fabulous job. We're going to miss her, but you'll be around for a while yet. And we had Kaylee LaFrance also. She's our fledgling photographer. We usually roll around with Neil Rinaldi. He was tied up today. I called Kaylee's mom, and quickly in a pinch, she got a hold of Kaylee. Kaylee was here within an hour and a half, so thanks to Kaylee, too. So for John Velios and Bill Bostic, once again, I'm Joe Gilloway with Linglestown Gazette Sports. This is Gazette Sports Chat Live. Thank you.